Welcome back to another video, and let's get straight into it. No time to waste. So this is the video about the April's free asset packs. So we're gonna start off with this German Shepherd pack. So what it comes with is a base skeletal mesh for the dog itself, and then it has a whole bunch of animations. So if you are very skilled with animation blueprints and all that stuff, you can make quite miracles with this thing, because there's a whole bunch of animations with the dog laying down, jumping. So the third row is the attacking, and then there are some barking stuff, or no, that's getting hit. That's if the dog is getting hit, which is not a okay thing to do. Animal abuse is a bad thing. We have a couple of sittle idling thingies where he scratches himself. That's really cool. Laid down, just regular idle, swimming, getting up, laying down animations, walking, strafing, sniffing the ground and walking around, looking to the sides, running, sprinting and looking to the sides and all that stuff. A bunch of attacking and dying animations, as well as getting hit. Then there's a barking animation, some head rotations for the offsets, if you want to do some kind of aim offset or whatever. And yeah, so there's a bunch of animations. Not sure how many there are in total, but as you can see, there's 4 rows with a whole lot of animations. So let's get on with the actual model itself. So it comes in a folder like this. So there's Animalia, then there's shaders, and then there's the German Shepherd itself. Then we have a whole bunch of animations with a bunch of folders with animations as well, and they also have the aim offsets, I guess, as well already set up. And the actual mesh itself is over here, and here is this German Shepherd. So what I'm gonna actually do is open this one up and make a static mesh out of this, so that it is a little bit easier for me to have a look at this thing. So let's go ahead, let's pop it open. Let's go ahead, let's open up first the wireframe mode to have a look at the vertice amounts. So in total there are 6,000 vertices, which I think is really good for this type of model, because it looks quite good and it's not overpopulated with vertices in my opinion. Obviously the eyes parts and the mouth part is quite a lot of lines in there, but there's not a whole bunch, because if you like zoom in on it and have a closer look, you'll see that they just simply overlap one another through the wireframe mode, and the actual teeth and the tongue and all that stuff is not that many vertices. So it actually looks really good on the vertice count. So if we would look at the model itself, obviously there's no actual fur, it's just a texture, but it does look pretty good. Nobody is it depends on the game obviously, but nobody's probably going to be looking at the dog from an angle like this, so don't you worry about that. If you just hit play, this is as close as you can get to seeing the dog itself, and it looks pretty amazing, so don't worry about that too much. Yeah, other than that, it seems really cool. The dog looks really realistic. The teeth part, the mouth part looks really dope. The teeth are really cool looking. The textures are really correct, so this does look really amazing. And that's basically it for this pack, just this dog. And I noticed in my Discord some people were speaking about the fact that this month is not like as good as the previous one was. Of course, the previous one offered you a whole game which was already finished. All you gotta do is just set up your own levels, your own models, and you're good to go. This one doesn't come with such great features, but still there is some things to take away from this. Now let's go ahead and real quick let's pop into the cats. So there's a low poly cats project available as well, and it's very similar, so I'm not gonna go over it too much. We can already see the vertice count over here. It's probably not too high, but if we would find the asset itself, 6,000 vertices. Oh, I mean, well, that is a lot. I haven't really looked into these models, so I'm not sure. This is basically my first look at them. Well, not really a first look, but this is the first like in-depth. So there's 6,000 vertices. So let's have a quick look. Where are all of those vertices then? That's a bit strange. I don't really think that there should be that much, but because the model is quite small and the dog was like huge, so I'm a bit confused about that. And then on the first glance, it doesn't look like it has like a whole bunch of vertices. It doesn't seem to be overpopulated with them, but yeah, not sure. Anyway, yeah, these are the low poly ones. There's a whole bunch of color options that you can pick from, different eyes, different body colors, and all that stuff. And again, there's a whole bunch of animations available. So there's again the jumping ones, then there's the laying, yeah, no, not really laying down, stretching ones, walking ones, forwards, backwards, sideways, attacking animations. Some jumping, some dying, some these two are weird. Yes, there's a whole bunch of animations. Again, as you can see, you can, again, if you know the Unreal Engine animation blueprint stuff really good, then you can make quite a really cool and realistic movement for the cat, because, well, as you can see, they have all kinds of things. They're turning, jumping, running, laying down, standing up, all that good stuff. So yeah, nothing really much to say about this. That's pretty much about it. Just a couple of meshes. These are, in my opinion, the less worth to look into. Obviously, if you want to make a cat, you need a dog. Well, the cat obviously depends on your game. If it's a low poly one, they're gonna fit, but the dog is gonna fit for a lot of games because it does look really cool. Now let's go ahead, let's jump in the next pack, and the next pack is called Farm Animal Sounds. I have no real particular order on these, so I'm sorry if you wanted me to make this into a specific order, but there's, I think, 400 something sounds, I think they said. I don't remember this anymore, but there is a whole lot of sounds for all kinds of animals. Most of these sound a little bit digital, because obviously I doubt that they had this many animals available near them, and so that they could like actually get like real life animal sounds, but they are really good. So if you are considering about making something with the animals, this is the way to go. Obviously the birds pack will be really useful because there's a whole bunch of sounds for the birds. As you can hear, there's all kinds of birds available. Also like the frogs, ducks, donkeys, dogs, cows, all that stuff. And if you are using any of these cats or dogs pack, then there's sounds for those as well. So this is really cool. Also, they have some bonus stuff added to it, which is nothing really exciting. There's like this forest loop soundy thingy. Then there's something with like grains getting put into containers or whatever. Doesn't really seem too cool for me, but the rain and the stream sounds seem pretty cool. Those could be useful for pretty much anybody. So now let's go to the next pack, and the next pack is the animated fish pond. So let's go ahead, let's open up the map demo project. Here we go. We have this thing right off the bat. So I did look into this a little bit. So one thing, the only thing that I think is really cool is the water material. Other than that, I'm very so how to say this? I'm not saying like this whole thing is bad. No, it's not necessarily bad, but I'm worried about this a little bit. The thing is that the creator of this has created everything into a blueprint. So this rock right here is a blueprint. This flowers right here are blueprint. This bridge right here is a blueprint. Everything, every single mesh in the world is a blueprint. That worries me because you're not supposed to do that unless you need code inside of this actor. If all you have is the mesh and all it has is a decorative purpose, like these rocks and like this bridge and these flowers and all that stuff, they are not supposed to be blueprints, because blueprints take more performance from the game. If you would hold just a regular regular static mesh in the world, you will get way better performance on your game. Now the water material though is really cool. So if we would pop that open real quick, we have a cube. Also another thing, yeah, like this water is an actor. Why? Because all you have is a cube and a material. You could have just placed a cube and a material on top of that into the world. You would get the same result. So actually, real quick, let me just show you what I mean by that, if you don't know perhaps. So if we make this, right, we have a cube. And then if we grab this material and apply this, you can see that it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. So I don't see a reason behind having it in a blueprint in this situation. Obviously, if you want to have some kind of a physics volume underneath it or any of that stuff, go ahead, make it into a blueprint. But if it's just a cube with the material, it's very pointless. Now the next thing that I looked into is the fish themselves. Actually, real quick, let's just let's apply some kind of a game mode so we can run around. And it doesn't seem to want me to run around. Let me drag player start. There we go. Okay, so the fish do move around, so that's quite cool. We can see the fish swimming around slowly. They're moving. So the visual part of this does look really cool. They do seem quite realistic, and they are like moving like an actual fish would, and they're just going in probably in a random, finding a random location, then heading towards it. But one thing that got me really worried was if we would open this guy up. They have the fish movement component, so let's go ahead, let's open that one up, because the actual actors themselves are empty. All they have is the fish mesh, and they have just one animation. They have no animation blueprint, so that's one thing that I got worried about. And so here is the logic for the movement of the fish. So let me be real honest with you. I've never made fishes. I only once have made a character swim. I've never had this much. I didn't have this much code when I made my character swim. I don't know, I might be wrong. I doubt I'm wrong, but there shouldn't be this much code to set this whole thing up. Obviously a lot of things could have been reused a little bit. So they have this stuff right here that it gets the distance to the top, distance to the bottom, all that stuff. I think this all could have been this whole thing could have been done a lot differently by, if the water already is an actor, make a physics volume or something like that underneath it, and then get the components bounce, and that way I think you instantly like get rid of all of this chunk. You can replace it with one chunk instead of having 4 chunks. Then there's this stuff which gets me really confused, because the biggest issue I found is that there's a line trace after a line trace, and then there's a branch after a branch after a branch after a branch after a branch, and again branch. That's, you could do that obviously if this is the only thing that you are running and all you have is like a bunch of fish floating around. I mean, go for it, but ideally that's not a good practice to do, having that many branches connected to this. Yeah, so I don't know, I might be wrong. Like I said, I've never made fish before, so I might be very clueless, and maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm pretty certain this whole thing could have been done a lot easier, especially if the creator was using the animation blueprint, which I assume he didn't, even though like this is my kind of first look, because I didn't really look at it that much. I think it only has one animation, and that's about it. Yeah, it has no animation blueprint attached to that, so I'm assuming that Yeah, that's just one animation and that's it. So I think a lot of things could have been done a little bit differently using the animation blueprint. Also, the default character movement component does support swimming, so that's how you can achieve the swimming effects as well, by using the correct physics volumes and changing the movement type. So I think this could have been done a little bit better. But the water material, this is the one thing that this thing is worth getting because of, just to have a look at the water material. It's very simple, but as you can see, it does look really, really good. So real quick, let's go over this water material. There's nothing really much about it. So first thing, there's a base color and the opacity used from the alpha channel. So color code and the alpha at 0.1 for the opacity, so it's transparent. Nice, all good, very simple. Then the normal, I'm actually not sure about what this exactly does. Don't mind me, but what I do know is this is the most important bit for the whole water effect. So essentially what is happening, there is a node called texture coordinates, which simply specifies how big the texture is. And then there's the scalar parameter, so it multiplies it. If it needs to be bigger or smaller, it's set to 1, so it grabs the default size. And then we have 5 texture samples, and whoops, all of those texture samples are actually exactly the same texture, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal. That's how I've made waters in the past as well. You grab one texture and you make a whole bunch of instances from this. In this situation, they've made 5. I usually did this with 3, so actually this might be a good idea and a good improvement for me in the future, in case if I need to create a water by just simply multiplying the textures even more. And what essentially they have done is they have scaled them in different sizes. So here we have this default size, and then they have scaled it into a different size so that each texture wouldn't overlap each other, but they would have different sizes, so they're no longer overlapping one another, and they make like this really good looking effect in that way. So they have 5 different sizes, actually 4, but you could have 4 or 5, doesn't matter, as long as the next node, which is called panner, which moves the texture in a specific direction at a specific speed. Obviously, if you select the node, then you can set up the speed for those directions. And if you would just simply have different values, if you have the same scale, then everything is gonna look just fine. So essentially what is happening, these nodes right here all at the same time are going each in their own specific direction, and that way it's creating this moving water effect, which is really, really cool. And then in the end, they just simply add all of those normal maps together. They normalize it, so it's not like, everything's not messed up. And then that thing right there goes into the normal. Now for the world offset position, they are using the blue channel from the texture, obviously normal map, got to use the blue one. They flip it and then they scale it up. Obviously depends on how, so alters mesh vertex position in world. Okay, that doesn't matter. Basically it alters the strength of the offsets kind of, and then it gets the normals like world location, vertex position in the world, and then they combine those together and then they get the world offset. Now refraction is gained by using the Fresnel node, which is basically, it creates like an outer line. So if you look from an angle like this, it's like it's not really opaque that much anymore. You can't really see a lot through that. But if you look straight down, it's perfectly smooth, just like the water in real life really is. So that's one thing to have a look at. This material, it's amazing, very, very simple, but very, very effective. So I've spent a lot of time talking about this stuff right here. So let's go ahead and let's go to the last pack. I think that's the last pack. Yeah, that's the last pack, is the modular houses. I was really excited about this pack, but I'm sort of disappointed, but there's nothing really to be disappointed about, because the pack is good. I was hoping for something a little bit different from, I have another modular pack which has quite a few good features in it, and I was hoping this one might be a little bit more similar to that one, but unfortunately it's not. But this is still a really, really good pack. It looks amazing. It looks just insanely amazing. As you can see, there's some very basic grass, but it does the trick. It looks really, really good. and then there's a whole bunch of houses available to you by default. And let's go inside of the house and let's have a look. And as you can see, it looks really, really good in my opinion. This looks very realistic. Yeah, nothing really much to say about this other than the fact that I think it looks really, really good, and it's definitely worth getting it. It's free and it just looks really good. And one thing that I noticed, okay, so in this project, so I did some testing with this on my own, because I was comparing this a little bit to the pack that I had. This one seems to be really, really well optimized. For some reason, this exact level gives me quite a low FPS, even though there's not that many houses, because I had 3 times bigger map and I was still getting 110 FPS, which for my graphics card is a good sign. That's a really good sign. Yeah, I had really good FPS. I think the buildings are really well optimized. Also, there is a... So let's have a real quick look at the mesh structures themselves. This is the part where I got a little bit disappointed. I still think that these buildings right here are still really good. The already pre-built ones, because they have some pretty cool LODs that they do a really good job at optimizing this. But what I was a little bit disappointed kind of for my building style and my workflow and all that stuff, I didn't really enjoy the modular aspect of this, because let's say, so we have let's have this guy, right? So here is this piece from the outside. It looks amazing, and then you go on the inside. I guess the bottom part is not really needed, but there's like these big gaps and all that stuff needs to be filled out. I did experiment with this a little bit, tried to build some stuff here and there, but I still preferred the pack that I had before, because as you can see, the positioning of these things is also something to keep in mind of, because then there's the top ones, bottom ones, right? So all that stuff. So in this situation, for instance, and this piece right here, that means that it needs to go up here instead, and then we are stitching the models somehow together and trying to figure out how exactly this works and how exactly it doesn't work. Now we have a gap in here. Okay, that one will be fixed by using a floor in the middle. I guess that's cool, but I didn't enjoy the pivot points and all that stuff. Felt a little bit, it looks good. It's amazing, but building with it wasn't something I enjoyed. I still enjoy the one that I have from the past, and I'm gonna probably keep on using that one. But the buildings themselves that are already pre-built, I think are really good, because you don't have to worry about much. They're all ready to go. Amazing pieces with some foundations, which make your life a little bit easier when placing those on the uneven surface, because they are going into the ground a little bit, so that makes the life easier. Also very well optimized. So if we would look at the LODs real quick, so it has 40,000 vertices on this building right here. Seems quite a lot, but as you go away, it's only 9,000, and here is even 513 vertices, and that's really nothing. So yeah, I think that's really, really good. One more thing, I don't know, is this the one? There's a lot of materials though, that's something that I didn't really enjoy. Yeah, that's the thing. So why it is so well optimized is because of the fact that it comes with 2 models. So here is the high quality model that we can see, and then whenever we get far away from it, I'm not sure which building it was, doesn't matter, I guess it's this one, yeah. It creates something like this, and when you are really, really far away, you can't really see that the textures are this bad and that the model is this bad, because from a high distance, they look the same, right? So it just simply doesn't matter. So yeah, that's why it is so well optimized, because these pre-built buildings already are coming with the low LOD model itself as well. So that's pretty much it for this month. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, people are not too excited about this month's collection, but on the other hand, this is free stuff, guys. Like, can you really complain about this? Like, it looks good. There's something we can learn from this. There's something we can grab from this. We don't have to use the whole package, right? Like, let's say we only like the grass. Boom. It's very nice looking, very basic, but does the job. Just grab the grass out of it and go ahead and use that. You like the mailbox? Take the mailbox. Don't like everything else? Don't use anything else. Same goes for the water material, right? Like, it's the water material itself. If you don't know how to create water yourself, it's very well worth going and having a look at it, copying it out, modifying it to your liking, applying your own normal textures to it. Very easy to modify, very easy to use. All it requires you to have is just one texture, one normal map. Doesn't matter really what normal map it is, as long as it's seamless. And yeah, so yeah, that's gonna be it for this month's review of these assets. So yeah, thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe, and I see you tomorrow in the next video.